Howdy. What's up, everybody? Shares not known the way here. Out here on Spiritual Ranch. Off Grid Oracle. A little blustery day today. It's not sunny like it has been these last couple days. You know, they're kind of pulling back on the rain, at least for the people down here at the lower elevations, you know, at 600 feet. But I'm up here at 2,700, so I'm kind of right in the clouds. So it's not really raining, but it's just heavy, wet cloud cover, you know. But it's windy, it's blowing. We got some good wind and stuff. And so it's a little different than it was yesterday, but we get weather like that out here. It's pretty wild. But either way, today's a brand new day, you know. Just like yesterday was, you know, today will be just as good, you know. And that's the cycles, right? That's the cycles that a lot of people try to have control over, you know, in our lives in a lot of ways, because the secret to life, you know, the secret to happiness in God's green earth is to be able to see every day as a blessing, you know. And so when you lay your head down to rest at night, you know it was a good day and you're excited for the next day because you know it's going to also be a wonderful day, you know. And when you wake up in the morning, you feel very blessed and graced to have that new day, and you're excited to experience the goodness that's in it. And you're also extremely grateful for the day that passed before you, you know, and what you gained and what you learned in that experience. And so people nowadays, you know, this world that we're living in is designed around kind of destroying that relationship that we have with God, with Spirit, you know, with ourselves. They're really doing it with, you know, it's black magic, it's spell work, you know, it's they're attacking everything about you, you know, through social media, through you know, propaganda, just propaganda, however it is, however it's delivered, you know. But it's been happening now, you know, strategically, really strongly since the printing press. Before the printing press, you know, it was how the elites ruled the elites, you know, like. And it was kind of their drug of choice. Really, it wasn't even allowed to peasants. You couldn't even afford a newspaper or whatever. But they propagandized against each other to control their wealth, control their people, you know, and continue to keep the secrets that they keep, you know, and to control the masses in the way that they do. It's more about controlling the inner working group, you know. Those are the ones who are underneath the most mind control and have the fear in their hearts so deeply that they live in a fear-based world where they dwell on past events and they try to control future events so that it goes in their favor because they don't trust the goodness in it. They can't wake up in the morning and just say, hey, look, man, it's another day with God today. And of course it's going to be great. They're like, okay, how do I manipulate this situation so that I can make sure that this day is exactly how I want it to be, or how I want it to be for me and my select group of people, you know? And that's the cycle that's them cycles, you know? God wants you to cycle through every experience that you have, gaining good experience out of that, gaining strength and trust and upward mobility into the spiritual realm, you know. And that's why, like with people nowadays, it's gotten to where it's become so commonplace that it's now infiltrated even into the peasants and into the people who used to live with more purity in their heart, with more of a social network that was based around unconditional love and understanding and openness and honest communication and clarity, you know, and union with God first, you know, and then that union will protect the families that we all are blessed with through God, you know, right? But today, a lot of people, you know, it's like they have practices that they don't even realize are dark craft because it's become so commonplace because they've learned it through the talking boxes, you know, and all the talking heads that are in those boxes, because all they do is spell work, you know, constantly casting spell work, trying to unalive you. Us, we the people, the chosen, you know, because what they do when they unalive you is they destroy your connection with the Most High so that these cycles are now corrupted, you know. And so you go to bed worrying about what's going to happen the next day, and you worry all day about what's going to happen in that day, and then you go to bed worrying about the things that you did during that day because you're so worried you didn't take the actions that you needed to take. And so the next day you wake up and you just repeat that cycle, and that's a cycle of death, you know. That's how they kill you, because they're separating you from your connection with God Most High. That's based on trust, you know. That's based on faith. It's based on knowing You know, like when you know God Most High, you don't worry about jack shit. That's a wasted emotion. You would never worry about anything because you would never insult a light that's as beautiful as God Most High because they have you like that. You know, there's nothing to worry about. Like to worry about it is making it up an excuse to separate yourself from God. And these individuals are presenting opportunities to us like that through their mind control that we're constantly tempted by that daily, you know, and live in this state of fear. And that's killing our body, our soul, our mind, our love, our hearts, you know, our families. It's destroying everything about us, right? And that's unaliving. That's how they unalive you. And so a good example of that is what's going on right now in the media with the key witness of the Epstein case having committed suicide, right? And so people don't look at that at all from a place of compassion because they're trying to say it's she committed suicide, or it's like, oh, they murdered her because she was a witness or whatever, you know. And it's like whatever the fuck it is, it's the culture that we live in. You know, it's like that person was a victim of black magic through cultural programming that led her into the position that she was in, where those people abused her, you know. But then they abused her so hard that her tie with God like that was severed. She lost that connection with God because it became her life became riddled with things that she couldn't make sense out of, right? Because things that were done to her that were horrible, but things that she did herself probably that were horrible. It's like a horrible loophole that they create for us with this mind control like that, you know? And so they start abusing you, sometimes even in really subtle ways. All of us are abused, you know? Media abuses us, you know? But that person was so abused by these people that work these dark crafts, you know, these really low crafts that are very dark to control us and manipulate us like that. She was so damaged by that craft, you know, that she may have taken her life by her own hand, right? But that's still murder, you know. She didn't kill herself. She's in the kingdom of heaven with God because she's being protected. She's being saved, you know. But she didn't take her hand, her spirit like that, you know. She killed her physical because they broke her connection with God here in the physical, you know. They fucked up her ability to manifest because she got so abused, you know, that she couldn't find that connection again, where she didn't wake up worried every day. She didn't go to bed worried every day. She didn't hate this world for what it's done to her, you know. And that's what they're doing to all of us. But the thing is that they put us in these positions where the knife is kind of always in our hand, you know? They want to always put that knife in our hand, and they want to say we cut our wrists or whatever. They want to put that gun in our hands, and then they want to say that we pulled the trigger, you know, that we committed suicide. But we need to start looking at that a lot differently, because if people are strategically broken off, you can't blame that individual for taking their own life in that sense, you know? Like, they're not a suicide. That soul needs to be forgiven. That soul needs to transcend. That soul needs to realign itself and spend some time with God where it will go, you know? It's not going to be condemned. And a lot of people try to look at it that way, like that's a perverse individual. No, the perverse individuals are the ones who still continue to support the individuals who corrupted that soul, you know, in that manner, and separated them from God like that. And God sees that. God's going to punish the fuck out of them, not the person who committed suicide. And that's what matters most. And if you don't think that's a psyop on you, that they play these games with this Epstein situation, you know, yeah, sure, she did most definitely probably took her life with her own hands, you know, but he did not. So think about that, huh? I've been thinking about that, because they use that same magic against all of us, and that's what they use that magic for, you know, and there's so many twists and turns and twists on it. It's just craziness, you know. It's the same bullshit they pulled with Jesus, but now they're just twisting it on this other side, right? And so, we got this pervert that we're going to kind of nail to the cross and shit. Nah, man, you know, or these victims, you know, it's like, nah, man, this is a fucking psyop, you know. It's what it is, man. They're fucking with everybody's heads. Not mine. That's God Most High, man. Yeah, guy, God Most High, he likes a good joke every once in a while. You know? Shit, fuck, man. It's no joking matter, though, you know. It really isn't. Because it plays out like they're breaking us all off kind of like that, you know. So we're dead inside anyways, you know. Like, that's how this world's operating. It's like, everybody's so fearful of life to live. Everybody's afraid to live, you know? And so you're dead anyways, right? And that's what they do, you know. To some of us, they do it way more extreme than they do to others. They've been breaking me off for a long time, but they always got to do it on me in ways they can't touch me, man. They come after everything around me, you know. They come after my loved ones. I got to watch all my loved ones get hurt and broke off and everything. They turn them against me, you know, and all that shit because they can't really affect me like that. They can't attack me, you know. And so, they've hardened my heart space, baby. You know, that's what they've done. But in a lot of ways, they've also made my heart space so that it's armored as well. You know, and like that's good because we're in a time right now where we got to protect our heart spaces. Really do, you know, we really do, and not in a selfish manner or a fearful manner, but in a protective manner. And that's best led by Most High. You know, really is, you know. Anyways, we're here today. We kind of check in these spirits, you know, like we do here in the morning and stuff. Try and make this more regular because it's good for me. And hopefully being good for me will be good for somebody else too. That's a good practice that we all should have, right? That's sharing our gifts. Spirit Most High, I love you. Love you so much. You gave me my soul, you gave me my spirit, you gave me my fire, you know, man. You made me empress, made me high priestess. You fucking give me wisdom, you know, you give me sight. You give me ears so I can hear it all. You gave me fire so it does not burn. In the divine light we all shine, you know. Lord God Most High always sees us and speaks our words for us, you know. And that's best when we let them lead. Spirit Most High, and they took me in their arms. They forged me into a powerful weapon. And I appreciate you all for that, Spirit. Most I appreciate you for the blessing that you've given me in life, you know. And we're here today in this space. It's a safe space, you know. And we're asking you to bring through some messages and with your spirit deliver them, you know. Use my tongue like a sword that you've formed it into. You're the most powerful being in the universe, Spirit. The most high, the most powerful thing that ever existed. Without you, nothing would ever exist. And it's a divine plan, it's a divine creation, and it's absolutely beautiful, you know. In one love, amen. All right, Spirit. You know, weather's out there rough. I'll talk about winds yesterday and winds blowing, you know. So we'll talk about that. What else we talked about? Yeah, we talked about winds blowing and people trying to whip them winds up on that Empress, man. We had that Empress come out with that High Priestess energy, remember? Bad bitch. Not that these are the winds. It might be them winds they're trying to whip up because them winds ain't going to whip up heavy enough right now to bring them waters to this mountaintop. So maybe. Kind of looks like this might be the tail end of wintertime right here, you know. We're kind of out here on the very, very southern edge of the Pacific Northwest in Northern California, you know. The south of here's hell. Just joking. I shouldn't say that. But, you know, I'm sure shit's not known the way. I can't help but speak the truth. Thing is here, though, see up north where I'm from in Oregon, it rains a lot more. We get a lot more rain, you know. Heavier soil, too. It's clay. We got a lot of clay here, but it's a lot more friable here. I love that sweet sage, man. But they get a little more rain, you know, so it's a little wetter up there, a lot greener, grass, everything grows, real heavy, forest, everything, you know. Here it's in the spots where it's a little shaded, or we got a little bit, a little more peat, a little more material that's organic in the soil, and stays greener. But this time of year, if it doesn't rain a lot, it dries out a lot, you know, so you get real dry spots and the grass don't grow. But on years when it's wetter, or you get prolonged rains into the spring, we'll get real nice growth, you know. And so this year it's kind of been trying to dry out a little bit. I've been running sprinklers in the garden actually all month. But I've been doing that because I kind of store water in the soil that way. It's like a reservoir. Because if you dry farm, you can store your water. It stores in the soil. But if you let it just dry out too early, then it won't do that. But if you keep it stored in there, you keep it banked, and then when the water's not real available and abundant in the summertime, you still got water in your soil. You can dig down there. It's still water. The plants will send their roots down. They'll find that water, and it works really well. It's a cool trick. I'm going to show everybody all about that. I learned it from an old timer out here, a real wise man. He's a Taurus, Taurus is in my house of relationships. And so a lot of important people in my life are Taurus. It's been a rough go though. I've been separated from all of them, My boy is a Taurus too, And so that King of Pentacles energy came out yesterday as well. That's difficult energy for me. Not really difficult. It's energy I love dearly, dearly, dearly. But it's just that God's been teaching me a lot about relationships in that energy, My house of money is Gemini, like same deal. Made a lot of money with them Geminis, but man, they're something else to get along with for me. I don't know. I shouldn't talk shit. I love you. I love everybody, really. You gotta love everybody for what they are, right? That's how God delivers us. Anyway, we'll look at some coins here. I got my little bag of coins down here, and we're gonna pull a couple down and just see what the hell they got to offer for us. Alrighty then. Alright, so what we got here, this is the toilet token. It's coming out over here by the sun, which is masculine energy, It's it says nickel lock toilet token. Don't know if you can see that. But that one says nickel lock toilet token. Little tiny little thing, man. Okay? Sitting there by the sun. So that tells me that's shithead. There's some masculine energy out here with that fire energy, So Aries, Sagittarius, or that is got their head in the toilet, right? They don't know what they're doing, kind of. That's what I think with that toilet token. Usually, I mean, what it speaks for itself, right? What's the toilet token, man? You're either waiting in line to take a shit or you're getting shat on, right? And then over here, hiding underneath the mushroom today is the heads up. Fantasy in the flesh. Heads up. You win, right? And so that means that somebody's trying to use their tail to get what they want, right? But it's not really all the way. It's like halfway underneath that mushroom, and it's halfway out from that mushroom, and nothing's exposed. All you see is the head and the arms, right? And so that's telling me that that person or that energy right there is tempting, right? Or tempted is what that tells me, sexually, or just not even sexually, but in the material. For desires, right? Lust, desires, passions. I mean, it's an individual who's possibly been in the dark about those things or how they feel about certain things in life, or indecisive. But now they're trying to come out of that darkness and make a decision. They're trying to come out of that mushroom energy, right? That mushroom energy is a little bit secretive, It could be even deceptive, because a mushroom can look pretty but be poisonous, right? Or a mushroom could be ugly and be medicine, or they could be food, right? And so that individual is trying to figure out, Because that fantasy in the flesh coin is the undervalued sense of the physical in the way that we sell ourselves out, that we prostitute ourselves for things in the physical, right? For our material needs, you know. And so it's like, are we going to use ourselves like a whore, like in that sense? Are we gonna cheapen ourselves to acquire what we need in this material world, or are we going to look towards God the Most High, what offers us the abundance from the forest, like that mushroom, you know? So do we need to expose ourselves to the world, let them see our tits and ass, and sell that to them so that we can have what we want because we look good? Or are we going to really go deep down inside ourselves and find the secrets and the depths that the forest has, that they hide in their mushrooms, because the mushrooms hold the secrets, right? And so that could also be exposing yourself to God Most High, you know? But exposing yourself to God Most High and of the things that you would try to maybe hide from God, or maybe that you hide from others, you know? Like the thoughts and the feelings and shit that you have that you feel are your own personal thoughts, but you know that they're dirty thoughts. You know that they're inappropriate thoughts. You know that they're thoughts that don't serve your higher purpose, right? But you feel that you've been feeling that like those thoughts are thoughts that you have in secret, you know? It's like that you feel like, well, nobody really knows me like this. Nobody knows these aspects about me. Nobody knows what I really want like this, or that, or these things that I'm tempted by that make me weak or make me feel weak. But the thing is that you're realizing now, that we're all realizing, is that no matter what, God Most High always sees those thoughts, and that's why we feel insecure about it. It doesn't matter what other people think at all. It doesn't matter what we're getting or receiving from other people at all. It doesn't. If we're having thoughts that we know make us feel negative, those thoughts are stemming from within ourselves, and that is the relationship that we have with Most High. Most High is keeping you in check with those insecurities. Nobody else. Nobody. That's what's happening, you know, because they see you and they see the way you're performing, they see the way that you're thinking, they see the things that you're doing, and they know that they're not serving your higher purpose, and they see with awareness that you at the time are not aware of that, right? And so they're trying to save you. Your insecure thinking, your insecurities, your fears, and all of your worries and stuff like that, those thoughts and those things that separate you from Most High, the reason they don't feel good is because Most High is making sure they don't feel good because they separate you, you know? And that's the truth. The no cash value coin right there is coming out. It's trying to hide underneath the world right there. You know? It's trying to hide, right? Underneath God's green earth, right? And that's because over here, this coin right here, that's like it's a fake coin, right? It's a fake gold Nazi coin, but it's not real. It says 999 1000 gold, right? But it's not. It's stamped like that, but it's not. It's a trinket, you know. It's counterfeit, right? And so it's a lie, but it's like, it's the secret organization coin, you know, like for me, that's the cult coin, because it's a undercover organization that has got this coat of gold on them that makes them look really good and shiny. It's these high and mighties, these government officials and these secret organizations, these pedophile cults, these motherfuckers that are destroying our earth, you know, for money, for greed and power, and out of hate and out of all that stuff that they do it for, you know. That's them. That's that coin that represents them, you know. And see, it's coming out with the Iron Cross. It's got the Iron Cross. I'll show you coin. It's kind of same on both sides, you know. But this side, it's got the it says all of that shit in German, you know, except for gold, you know, which tells you it's a lie, right? That's what I'd say. And so that coin's coming out here, kind of right by the globe too, you know. And so these powers right here, they're trying to control our globe, or they're trying to control the way that you see the globe, because this one right here, this bullet is my 10 of swords. That's like a 10 of swords, you know. That's a death omen right there. That's somebody's trying to shoot you. And because see here by the moon right here, we got this again. That's that wounded warrior coin I have, right? And it's coming out again with the heads up, right? And so that's George Washington, but he's been shot in the throat. That's what we were talking about yesterday. And so that's that wounded warrior coin, which sitting by the moon here like that. See, that's this secret organization. And then this coin right here, This coin right here is our help. It says help keep restrooms clean. Right? And hey, man. Amen. I mean, that says a lot right there. Because see, that keep restrooms clean coin, it's right between this toilet token that's over here by the sun, taking it something hot shit, you know, and that's what it is, hot shit. But somebody didn't flush toilet because somebody's not listening to their intuition, and they're not speaking on their intuition because they're coming out here by the moon, right, in a masculine energy by the moon, but they've been shot in the throat, and so somebody's taking their hot shit while somebody over here that's been shot in the throat a little bit and stuff, they got nothing to say. They're fucking in their emotions and their stuff like that with their moon, you know, and they're in their intuition, you know, and they're feeling it. They're knowing that this little hot shit over here, this little piece of shit thinks they're hot shit sitting by sun. So in that sun energy, Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo, they ain't gonna come up against this because this Earth, you can just feel it, you know, because everybody's shooting Earth right now. Everybody wants Earth to shut up, all right? And so Earth is over here hanging out in their masculine energy, but they're wounded in the throat. But their intuition has got them hanging tight, so they ain't telling nobody anything. They're keeping secrets, right? 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 And so this could be the masculine energy of this feminine energy that's kind of hiding over the mushroom over here. They're hiding underneath the mushroom, and they're over here hiding in their intuition, but they ain't saying jack shit because they got to keep the restroom clean. See? Whatever this big hot shit over here, this little hot shit that's sitting there floating in that tank or that toilet, it's gonna be their responsibility if they don't clean that mess up, right? And that's why that fucking bullet's in here, you know? See that bullet? See that bullet? That's that bullet right there. That's got them feeling like they're shot in the throat and they know they need to speak up. But see, that bullet was shot out of the guns of these organizations right here. And so that could just be simply that your social media presence or like your participation on social media and your screen time is causing you massive disconnect to your masculine and your feminine over here. And that was a confirmation burp if they if I ever had one, never had one like them before. Just joking. But that could be a lot of conflict. See, this could be one individual right here that's hiding in their intuition and hiding underneath that mushroom because they know they got shot in the throat here by somebody they can't trust. Somebody who really thinks that they should be out there in the light, but they're really just that they're hot shit, but they just a hot steamy shit, right? And this person here has got to figure out how to clean that mess up. This coin right here, this is my old Chinese coin, very old, right? And so that's ancient ancestors coin, one of them. And that's just them. That's just them. All of them, you know. And they ain't want nothing to do with this. They're over here hiding. They're like, they got their hands clean of it. They're like, nah, we're not even gonna be on this one. You know, they're like, we tried to tell them, and so they want to see people. It's go time, you know. They really want to see people starting to make decisions on their own. They're gonna kind of back out of this situation a little bit like that, you know. And so some people might be feeling like they don't have it real good, strong guidance from their ancestors right now, you know. And they might be feeling like they got a mess they got to clean up a little bit. And they might be dealing with a real piece of shit that they wish they would have gotten tangled up with, you know. And that's why they don't know what to fucking say. I think this piece of shit is associated with this group over here. This little cult, you know. And they always are one way or another, or they're being infected. They're just being affected so much by the toxicity, you know, that they're making this mess that this individual is going to have to clean up, right? So anyhow, that's what the coin said. That's weird. Let's get to the bottom of this beer. Who's this little piece of shit? You know, let's just talk about it. Let's go for it. Fuck it. Who's fucking around here, you know? Who's causing problems? Who's shitting in their nest or shitting in other people's nests or just being a shit, you know? Making this mess over here, you know, they can help us clean up the restroom, man. Well, they can help us clean up the restroom, right? I say don't use the restroom. Them cultists, I say stay away from their fucking restroom, no matter what they say, right? Yeah, so we got page wands in the reverse on the bottom of the deck, right? And that's exactly who that individual is right there. Definitely. And so that makes a lot of sense. Them coming out by the sun, that's that fire energy. Again, Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo. But in the reverse like that, as the page wands, that's exactly that right there. That's a steaming pile of shit that thinks they're hot shit, right? They're in the limelight and everything. They think they're winning, but they're just that tiny ass little coin right there that needs to be flushed. Somebody, whoever's over here in their water, stand by the moon, and that wounded warrior energy, you know, with that shot throat. They need to see that. They need to take their time here, keep their pants on. Go ahead, chill out underneath that mushroom for a little bit. Deal with this little piece of shit that's over here causing grief. And flush their ass. Reevaluate the situation and get back to the forest. That's what I say. Or wherever it is that God wants them to go that's safe, you know, because that's what that mushroom right there is a reishi, you know, that's eternal life. That's a medicine. They'll cure everything right there. Cancer, all kinds of shit. Gives you energy, gives you longevity, and it's force of God, right? So God's trying to say, hey, man, keep yourself concealed here in my power, in my force, you know. Your masculine is trying to learn how to follow their emotion here a little more, their intuition a little more, and use their voice, because they're going to have to do so to get rid of this problem, to clean up that restroom, you know. Stand up against the cult. You realize that bullet right there, you know, it was removed, so it didn't cause fatal damage, we can say, right? Nine of swords, right? Or nine of wands, yeah. No, whatever. Or 10 of swords, I guess. But see, with 10 of swords, it's never a fatal wound, right? It's the 10 of swords only simply means that you gotta flush the toilet, you know. 10 of swords means that you gotta remove whatever it is that's the obstacle in your way, you know, right? So that bullet would be like 10 of swords, but the 10 of wands is saying that it overcame that obstacle, you know. And so whatever it was that was holding you back, you know, with that bullet right there, whatever you felt like it shot and killed you, nah, man, that's just the thing that you had to bandage that up, and you would jump back into battle, because that shot might have made you feel like you're at the 9 of wands, but you obviously are not at the 9 of wands anymore. You're now at the 10 of wands, right? And so you've overcome that. That's fire energy too. And so that could be you flushing that toilet, you know, that could be you taking control over your destiny. That could be you seeing the clarity in the situation and realizing that toilet token over there is really just a steaming pile of shit that needs to be flushed. And then whoosh, down the drain it goes. And that puts you in that 10 of wands energy where you can now carry your load. You know, I mean, that could be the last battle that you need to fight to overcome that victory that you need to overcome to make yourself a whole ass motherfucker inside, to where you join that union you have with God. You no longer hide underneath the mushroom, you become the mushroom. The mushroom only exposes itself to those who deserve it and see it for what it's worth, you know. And that's that. They don't fuck around with toilet tokens. What else we got here, Spirit? What else? No. Keep going. How you doing, Spirit? Yeah. Sick and tired of talking about these motherfuckers. Fucking bullshit. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to learn on. I love you, Spirit. You got very good attitude. All right, man. Yeah, I can see. See, you were in that 9 of wands energy, right? That's what that bullet did, man. It had you feeling like you were up against everything, you know, back against the wall, right? But in the reality, you know, is that they may have winged you. That's why you got that bandage on your head. But all them wands behind you, those are the ones that you won, you know. And so they got a shot on you, sure, you know. They shot you in the throat. They try to shut you up, you know. But they ain't gonna shut you up. No fucking way, man. Because you're coming out here in this 10 of wands energy. And so whoever's over there in that toilet token energy is not you, you know. That's not your energy at all, you know. That's the fire energy that's around you. That is obviously immature, because look at the size of it. It's a tiny ass little motherfucker. You know, it ain't a big coin, not at all. It's just a little tiny piece off this big ass fake coin over here, right? So it's just doing what it was taught, you know, but it's acting like a piece of shit. And so they had you feeling like you're you're in that 9 of Wands energy, but you turned that shit upside down because you're not. You're a 10 of Wands. You're carrying your load. You're a bad motherfucker. We don't play this game. That's what that says. Just like I was saying. And then because see, you have joy. And dealing with pieces of shit like that over there blocking out your sun with that big pile and that little pile of fucking steaming shit, it's trying to block your sun. It's trying to block clarity in your life that you have that brings you joy, and that, and that's why you're like, man, I don't know, I might just go start a fire somewhere else. That's why you got that big bundle of firewood and sticks on your back now, because you won your battles. You're growing up. And that's a beautiful thing right there. You're gonna seek joy, Now that you know what you want, you know how to get what you want, you have what you want, it's time to show off, With that Knight of Pentacles energy on the bottom of the deck, just tells me that it hasn't been a real quick journey for you, for us. That tells me. But the tower that's coming right now is, coming in quick. And so it's no longer time for temperance, because they're the stink that's coming off from that little toilet coin sitting there and blocking your sun, that little stinky pile of shit right there, it's starting to fill the room, and everybody's thinking that stink's coming off of you, but it's really not, you're just the one that's responsible to flush it. You're the divine being that's trying to find wholeness, but you have a cult that's standing in between yourself, it's standing between your own understanding of your masculine and your feminine and who you are, you got them telling you one thing and others are telling you another, and so you're confused because you're being lied to, but you don't know who's lying to you, and you don't know who to trust, and they're trying to tempt you out to go do things that ain't for your higher purpose, and you're trying to listen to your intuition over here, but your masculine's not speaking to you because they don't know who to trust either. They can't even trust you, they can't trust your feminine, and your feminine can't trust your masculine because this cult's been lying to you for a long time, man, taking shots at your ass, and now they finally got one. They winged you, they got a little piece, and so they got you bleeding a little bit, and you got you wounded, and you're a little scared, because you're afraid that this mess is going to get dumped on your shoulders, and they're telling you need to clean the restroom. You're making a scene. We don't like what you're doing, and they know you're kind of half in, half out. You're hiding over here. You're listening to God, but they're trying to get you to go out there and just act like a whore, like the rest of these motherfuckers in this world, and just be temporary with your life, and just bounce around and not find happiness the same as they've done. And we don't play that game, And so, Spirit is telling you, look, Earth Angel, get your head straight, You're a whole ass Earth Angel, but you're coming out in the reverse because we're having to drop this tower on your head, because Spirit's telling you also that sun, that's my sun, and if there's a stinky pile of shit that's in between you and I, that's blocking that sun out and not allowing us to have the union that we're destined to have, then you need to figure it out. I'm going to drop that tower on your ass, and you're going to realize that you're an Earth Angel, but that you're going to realize that by seeing yourself in the reverse now. And that's when you're going to see your higher light, is when it's above you and you're down lower. But that's not a good place to be, It's not something that any of us should fear. But if that could be avoided, we have joy here, It's just that they're working really hard to get us to not see that. That's why you had to fight so hard in that 9 of Wands to get to this 10 of Wands position. And so don't make the mistake now to think you don't have what it takes to stand up against that tower. Use those wands in your hands right now to prop that tower up so it doesn't fall like that. That's what God's asking you to do. And you're protected. God has you. God has all of us now, always. That's what it's about. That's our journey. Our journey is through ourselves to God, and when we discover that path that leads us to God directly, then we have opened that path up and lightened it to for others to follow, and that's the gift that we all have to offer to this earth, but we have opposing forces who are trying really hard to shroud that path, that's their mission in life, that's their goal. They serve a lower purpose, and as an Earth Angel, we got to have our ability to shroud ourselves when we have to from those dark people that are trying to rape us of our light and take advantage of us and make us exposed like this coin over here. We got to listen to our intuition and our water and stuff, you know, we gotta listen to our intuition. We gotta listen to our emotion. We gotta listen to our connection with God. Our deep connection, our higher connection, you know. Get out of the lower connections, you know, like that's what's good with this coin is that shadow here of that mushroom, and that mushroom itself is keeping that individual from being fully exposed, you know. Then that's good because that's fantasy in the flesh. That means that the temptations that individual, that energy is having, that those temptations are temptations of the flesh, you know, and they're not going to lead longevity in their higher purpose, right? But they're not there yet. They're being tempted by it. They're not sure whether that's something that the world should offer them or that they can gain something from this world. But Most High is telling them, no, man, that's stinking in the toilet. That's a big stinking pile of shit of fucking thought. So don't go there. Trust your intuition. Listen to your intuition and allow your masculine to protect your feminine in this situation, you know, and yourself. Like, you know, speak truthfully to yourself. Like, protect yourself, right? Know the fields that you harvest from, you know. Know when you're picking a reishi and know when you're not, you know, because there's also mushrooms in that field that are called death angels and they'll kill you. Um, Spirit says clear dick, right? So you might not feel like you have a lot of protection right now, or you might feel that the concept of protection is stupid, right? And so that's why you feel like you got to hide in your faith a little bit, you know, or even hide your faith. That's why you're halfway tucked underneath that mushroom, you know, because you're tempted by the world, but yet you are a very powerful and faithful person. And so you know you belong in the forest with God, you know. You know that, you see that. You're a magical person. That's why your masculine energy out here is coming out by the moon, you know. That's here energy. The high priestess energy would be kind of over there underneath the mushroom, probably all the way underneath. She is the mushroom. I mean, really though, you know. And so yeah, that's why you feel with this tower coming after you in this hangman position, you know. And in that hangman position though, you're the hangman that's hanging there, and you earn the Three of Wands energy though, you know. And so that's good because that means again, and that's again fire energy. Both of those, that tree you could burn it, and you should, you know, because you should step off of that and you should use it, you know. That tree is also itself, it's the Three Wands, right? And so that wisdom that you're gaining on that tree, that's the knowledge that you need. But once you've gained that knowledge and you step off of that tree, you don't need the tree no more, right? And so you can cut that tree down, and then in that tree is Three Wands right there. It's really easy. So you just got to make 2 cuts and you got 3 wands, right? So there's 2 things that you need to cut out of your life right now. They're trying to ask you to see on that tree. They're asking you, they're saying, hey man, are you going to hang there forever like that, upside down, doing jack shit, getting a headache? Or are you going to see the 2 things you got to cut out of your life so you can step off from that tree, move forward with that 3 of wands? Huh? The 3 of wands has 3 ships in the water with them, you know, right? So they're looking over those 3 ships. So maybe that tree that you've been hanging on there that you thought was your purgatory, after you made those 2 cuts, well, you had 3 wands, but 2 of the wands were smaller, right? Because look here, if you cut those 2 wands right here, they're going to be smaller than that trunk that you're hanging on. You can take that trunk and make another wand that matches those 3 wands, and that gives you these 3 wands, right? The rest of that tree, that's the lumber you use to build those ships. You see? God never puts you in purgatory. God just always asks you to see what you have to work with and that you're happy to have it. You're going to build what it is that they ask you to build. That's how we move through life, right? That's how we do it. That's how we roll. Because we're high and divine, huh? Divinely high. Right? Hey, man. Hey, I agree with me. Right, Most High? These things, Spirit. Who could we agree with, Spirit? I agree with Most High. Fuck me, man. I'm just joking. Be a smart ass, you know. You know me, I got a little ego on, you know. An asshole, you know. Spirit tells you everything, you kind of get a little bad attitude, you know. Is that okay, Spirit? Spirit says they'll kick my ass. Yeah, he will. Yep, so this energy that we're talking about is coming out of King of Pentacles. But today it's coming out the King of Pentacles in the upright position, right? That's good. That's good for them, and I'm glad for them because being in that energy they were in yesterday with that reverse position, you know, there's a lot of passion there, but they're feeling sad about it. And that's a horrible way to feel, right? We should always be really thrilled in our passion that God gives us, man, and not confused in our passion or tempted by other passions when we have great passion that's available for us. That'll definitely put us in that King of Pentacles energy in the reverse. But today, it's not. That's good. I'm happy for that energy. Oh yeah, and see, we have the Empress on the bottom of the deck. Now we were talking about these two yesterday, and there's a conflict between these two individuals. These are two people, and there's conflict between these two people because their masculine energies are conflicting, but their feminine energies are in love with each other. That's crazy, right? But the thing is that the one masculine energy is in the upright with fire in them, but they're not. That energy is not this little shitcoin fire right here. That little shitcoin fire is hovering around this big fire energy, right? And that's this Empress in her masculine. And so that big fire energy is protecting the whole scene here, because they're fully aware. That's the illumination. That big fire energy was coming out with this Empress right here and with the High Priestess yesterday. And when they came out together like that, that means that this Empress is really king of everything, kind of. And that fire energy, this King of Pentacles was having a hard time with that because they're coming out page wands in the reverse. And that's an immature energy, so they didn't like the maturity of the feminine energy of this Empress's masculine energy coming out in the King of Wands, right? And so it's just real driven. And so the King of Pentacles was resistance coming out in that reverse position, right? But something's changed. This tower's changed something. That tower came in the reverse yesterday, but it's changed something. The last card I pulled on that one was the Seven of Swords. So there's probably a lie that's come to the present. This little pile of shit over here, somebody smells it stink. And it's not her, because she don't give a fuck, She's the fire that little turd's trying to dry up next to, And that's just that. She'd give fuck less about that little thing. Her energy is way, way bigger, right? This one right here, big. And she knows that the restroom, this mess over here in the restroom, right? This little pile of shit, it's just like detritus that flakes off from that fucking cult right there that's standing in between something they love very dearly, right? And the ancestors, even the ancestors are scared right now. They're like, man, we ain't fucking with this. The ancestors like, we'll kind of, yeah, it's fun to watch, but we ain't fucking with it because this one right here is walking with Most High. And the spirits, they work with Most High, but they're Most High's bitches, right? And so they get away with a lot of shit because they can fuck with other people, right? They can play games with people who ain't got their closets clean, man. There's these closet witches out here that got their altars in their closets and they got their souls, all fucked up, right? And all these crazy attachments and shit. They can be played with, and they are all the time. They're taken advantage of because they're lustful and they're greedy. The Empress that's here right now, the only thing she needs is Most High. That's it, And she's never dead. She's never alive. She's always with Most High. She's in the spirit, and so and she is a commanding individual. And so that would make this read here today definitely with these energies coming out. Because the first card that came out yesterday was that Three of Wands energy, and so it's interesting to watch it today go from the Ten of Wands to the Nine of Wands in the reverse, but back to the Three of Wands, and so this could be a foreshadow, and now maybe we're going to pick up here with that King of Pentacles with this Ten of Wands position. That'd be great, right? For them. The Empress says, hell yeah, But she ain't showed herself yet. She's just poking out in the bottom of the deck. There's joy here. That's the stakes, right? There's joy. There's joy. Or there's the sun upside down, which is like, the sun upside down is like everything's in the dark, I guess. It just stays there, which That's horrible. That's stagnance. That's how we create more darkness in the world, And that's the kind of shit that that's why there's no temperance with this tower. This tower's got to fall. No matter what, there's got to be clarity, man. That's the only way everybody ends this game upright. Right spirit, man. Well, spirit says take it. So it looks like the King of Pentacles today is feeling a little bit more like they got more control of things, more control of like their feelings, maybe more direction. Like they're coming out in the upright position like that versus being in the Page of Wands in the reverse like they were yesterday. That means that they feel a little bit more direction today. They feel a little bit more charge. That could be an ego boost or a boost of confidence. And that's two very different things. So that really depends. And that's gonna really determine the outcome of this Three of Cups. And Sunshine in the reverse. And so here's the King of Cups in the upright position. And so that means that this King of Pentacles is feeling more love in their heart today, maybe a little bit more emotional grounding, right? Self-love, because that's what the King of Cups it really represents. It's self-love for your masculine energy, and or just love for masculine energy in general, and respect for others and or own masculine energy, right? And emotional strength in your masculine energy. So it's the masculine emotions, right? In which a masculine emotion set is different than a feminine emotion set. We operate on different frequencies, And so, but this energy here brings balance to that, It brings more love to the situation, to whatever situation it is that we're dealing with that has this tower effect, right? Where there's been a lack of temperance but that lack of temperance is on Most High. That's a lack of temperance. That's not anger so much on like somebody's being impatient. It's Most High who's the one who's being impatient. Really, they're saying, hey, they want to get this shit figured out, and so they're trying to touch us all with a little bit more passion and a little bit more love in our hearts, a lot more love in our hearts, and a little bit more of properly directed passions in that upright position. That's good. We like that, right? How was the collective today, I guess? I always ask how spirit is. How y'all, right? There's comment section if people watch the video. But I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I like talking to spirit. Right, spirit? So why is God so impatient right now, man? I know what. Why are you guys thinking? What's God telling you all, man? This guy's saying about in the high court. Yeah, man. God's over the heartbreak, God's like, we're gonna bring tower on this shit because I don't like seeing my earth angels in this energy. They say, Spirit says, God don't like that stuff, man. Spirit said, God's feeling brokenhearted by it all. They're like, man, this is painful. It's like, it's just wearing me out, I want action. That's what God says. See, one way or another, God's like, broken heart can't heal unless some actions are taken towards healing, whatever that action may be. But you can't do that in silence, Yeah, see, because hanging on that tree, you're hanging on that tree because you're in an energy where you can't trust your feminine energy, like your masculine is trying to heal themselves, right? So that they have a voice inside themselves to really stand up for their feminine energy because they got a wounded masculine energy. That's why they're coming out in that reverse King of Pentacles here yesterday, and so they're trying to heal. They're trying to see that these wounds, they were emotional wounds, that were done to the masculine energy of the King of Pentacles, but by a feminine energy in the past, right? That was a mother and father figure, definitely, because this is the King of Cups in the upright position with the Queen of Cups in the reverse, right? But that that's a karmic couple because they're not both coming out in the upright, and so they would be a very emotionally grounded, a very strong couple, and that tells me here this King of Cups. That's the masculine energy in this couple, that they had more emotional grounding, that they were more of a secure emotional place for this masculine that's wounded over here, that's been shot in the throat, right? They had more grounding, they had more security, they had more of a relationship that was made sense, that was healthy with the masculine of the parentage, of their parents, right? And so the masculine energy of their parents gave them more stability, but at the same time, and you can see this fish here, and that means that it's Pisces energy, right? And so at the same time, the waters behind them are a little bit turbulent, and they're thrown, if you look at it, it's almost all the way in the water. There's not a lot of earth around it, And so this individual is really in their water a lot. And their water doesn't make a lot of sense. It can be tumultuous, it can be hard to follow, it can be hard to understand. And so it's not the most stable, right? And there's not a lot of room for others in this individual. You can see there, they sit on the throne alone, And so the King of Pentacles over here, the relationship they have with that individual in their family, and because this energy, means that this individual is coming out here also as the Page of Wands, or the King of Wands, in the upright now, that's the masculine energy of this King of Pentacles, or the feminine energy of this King of Pentacles, and so the feminine energy of this King of Pentacles is getting advice from this person that they were raised with, that they really trust more, that they put a lot of trust, a lot of faith in. They're being told, this person is telling them what they think that they should do, but they're a king of water, and they understand a lot of water around them and everything, And this one here now, though, that is kind of grown up, right? Because this energy is kind of the feminine energy, the immature feminine energy of this King of Pentacles is this Page of Wands, or Knight of Wands. And so, but this King of Pentacles is the King of Land, Earth, because there's very, very little water in there. And so when they're being told, give advice by this person that they love very much and that they trust, as to what they should do, because this person is telling them to come out more fiery and more passionate and more on their own, like in this independent, hot-headed kind of. They're like, no, and that's kind of like what's stirring the waters up a little bit, But if you look too, because like this King of Pentacles, they got this one here, this King of Water. They got a little, they're like, because they give advice that they don't really know is going to work right for the person that they're giving that advice to, kind of, They're watery. And so they don't really trust their own, it's like, it's the King of Pentacles, so it's the King of Water. And so the intuition of the King of Water says, well, it's a good idea for them, kind of. They know that it's what they would want. But they don't know that it's like what the King of Pentacles would want, because the water energy is also very fluid, right? King of Pentacles is not. They're set. Very firm in the things that they want, right? And so they're an individual that likes maybe a more steadfast approach, and maybe things that are more logical and less quick action oriented. They're Earth moves slow, right? Earth moves steady. Earth gets the job done when it doesn't just jump into shit and just do things without thinking about it, right? That's the energy of the Knight of Wands is that they would just jump right into something, jump right into a relationship, new business, just get out of there, just go, and that's not Earth, And so the feminine energy of this King of Pentacles is being conflicting to the energies of the masculine ones, but this King of Pentacles doesn't trust the masculine energy inside of them because of this Queen of Cups in the reverse energy in their life. Which would be the partner of this King of Cups, right? But this energy is in the reverse because they're a karmic couple. And so that tells me that the masculine energy that this King of Pentacles is raised with or familiarized by is a toxic energy. They learn to be they learn from toxic masculines. They've learned the feminine that was of their parents. So the feminine energy in their parents is a toxic masculine inside. Their masculine energy is toxic because they have healing that they need to do that they didn't do, that was transferred to that King of Pentacles energy. And that's why that King of Pentacles energy it was in the reverse yesterday, with the toxic feminine energy in that Page of Wands, or that Page of Wands, which is very toxic feminine, immature, toxic feminine energy, because they're like having an internal struggle where there's not enough, the masculine energy has been wounded. It's the wounded warrior, and so it doesn't speak for itself. The masculine energy doesn't stand up for itself, and then that doesn't defend the feminine energy of this individual. And so this individual is a masculine in a woman's body, and the world is tempting them to use that feminine energy or that feminine physicality to their benefit, because that's what they've learned that women should do from this reverse Queen of Cups. However that happened, whatever happened there, but whatever it was that happened, see, it was done in secret, and it's a part of conditioning, and that's why the masculine energy of this King of Pentacles yesterday was really feeling that pain of that shot to the neck. That's why that bullet's there. See, yesterday they were coming out in that energy where they were really feeling it, and they were really wounded, and so that King of Pentacles is in the reverse, and that page, they were really thinking low of themselves, right? But they're a King of fucking Pentacles with the Empress that was just showing her little face out here, They're not weak at all, But this Queen of Cups energy had a weak masculine energy in them that was full of bravado but no fight, right? And so that's what they taught this king. That's what this King of Pentacles has seen in masculine energies, and possibly in men, right? And so they're struggling because they have a masculine energy inside of them that is their dominating force as a woman. So they're trying to bring balance into their masculinity, which I think they have because they're coming in that King of Pentacles in the reverse now, in the upright position. And so they're seeing their worth as a masculine within a feminine beauty, within the physicality of a woman, right? Which that's cool. But this Queen of Cups here in the reverse, it has taught them some things that are just inaccurate, emotional stuff, like emotional shit. How to emotionally be a masculine, and how to respect yourself as a masculine, how to respect the feminine energies that are around you and see them for what they are, and also the masculine energies that are around you as well, even more so, more importantly, possibly, But the effects of this lesson, of this poor learning here, was that this masculine lost its voice, and that's a shame, man, because we all should be able to speak our minds. But the inability to speak their mind now is causing them trouble because they're willing to deal with shit over here, little shit that's getting in the way of their big son, and so God's taking action on that, right? That's why this Three of Swords here, because God says, "No, man, y'all ain't gonna break my heart with this shit." So I'm tower this moment here, so everybody sees the clarity in it, and everybody makes their decisions accordingly, and everybody's honest about that to themselves, within. Full circle. Every single one of us has a journey similar to this one, or in that journey even right now, in one way or another, in one form or another, and that's just what it is, You gotta know yourself. Every time I read the cards, I know myself better. Every time I get up from the table. And that's why the Spirit says, shush, not no way. Go sit down at that table and do a read. Because it's best for me. And that's good. Because the more I heal, then the more you all heal. And that's just the truth, And that's what we got to all see it as, We got to look at it like that. Because that gives us a higher motivation. It really makes us want to bring judgment into all situations, right? Right? Into everything, and allow God to bring judgment, because that's what this is right here. This is God bringing judgment, because God's saying, hey man, no, I'm not having the patience for this anymore. It's too sad, God's like, this is too sad. I know that I know the judgment, man. I know the truth. That's what God says. Always. What happened here with this King of Pentacles spirit? Why would they become in the upright position today when yesterday they were not? What happened? What happened to King of Pentacles, right? King of Pentacles got slapped by the High Priestess. You know? That's why she showed up yesterday. Today the Empress is busy, you know? But the High Priestess, see, slapped that King of Pentacles with that Ace of Cups. You know? Because there's a lot of love here. There's a lot of love here, you know. And that's why that's got this this King Cup. See, these King Cups look a little coy, man. I mean, it really does look a little coy. And its eyes are looking off in the other direction over here now. It's like, you know, just like that. See if you look. See, look. He's like, you know. Yeah, something might not be working out right for them, you know. And this King of Cups over here, this Queen of Cups, just shitty energy. That's a shitty energy on that card, man. It's like when the Queen of Cups comes out in the reverse, that's very shitty energy. Like, you don't ever trust that energy. That's a overly emotional piece of shit, really. That doesn't care. It doesn't care about you or nothing, nobody. Huh? It's a mean person, very mean, horrible person, broken. You know, broken. Really broken, you know, emotionally just deranged, you know. And so, no intuition, you know, you can't trust what they say like this. You can't trust them to trust themselves, you know. And that's a horrible energy. And High Priestess here, you know, see, the High Priestess, she really knows that big time, you know. And so that's the three players, that's these three energies, you know. There's three energies here on this table right now that are causing these three swords right here in the heart of God, you know, and like in the heart of this King of Pentacles, even, you know, through this King of Pentacles. That's why King of Pentacles was in reverse yesterday, you know, and so the pain that King of Pentacles is feeling, God feels too, you know, and God don't like that. And like, that's them three arms on this tree right here. So that's them three branches on that tree. Yeah, and so there's some cuts that need to be made. That's them two cuts that need to be made, right? We're talking about. And so if they make two cuts on there, one of them branches on that tree has enough wood in it to build them three ships and still give a wand to the individual that's making the cuts. You know what I'm saying? And so that's them three wands that'll help that individual see away from this Queen of Cups energy. That's the three of wands right here, right? And so the High Priestess is trying to really share the this, you know. And so that's one of the energies, right? That could be on a part of this tree. And then there's this Queen of Cups in the reverse, and there's this King of Cups in the upright position. And so the individual energy that's hanging on that tree is the King of Pentacles. They were hanging on that tree yesterday, right? But that's why they were in the reverse. But today, they're in the upright position. So maybe they found where the saw's at, right? And so they're deciding what of those three energies right there has the most wood in it, because that's what they got to figure out, you know? And it isn't always that way. What do you think, Spirit? Is it always that way? Always. Nah, Spirit says it's not always that way. No, Spirit says it's always that way. Spirit says, so we got the Six of Swords in the upright position. And so okay. So yeah, that Six of Swords energy, it's coming out there, you know, and it's coming out with a really strong protective energy. Again, you know, there's three individuals on that boat, right? One's a child, one's a could be a woman, or it could be a smaller, another, youth or a small person, and the other one's the person rowing the boat. And so, and you got 6 swords there, right? The card represents, the tarot represents the moving on to calmer waters, with these energies, we have 3 energies that we're working with here. So like, and then 6 swords, right? I think in a lot of ways, I think that this King of Pentacles has been trying to help because they're a higher energy, because they're a divine being, they're coming out in that divine energy yesterday, right? With the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands with that High Priestess and the Empress. And so they have been trying to help loved ones who are shrouded. And it could be unwell. I mean, they could be sacks of potatoes, right? And so they're not very aware of the person that is rowing the craft, or the gondolier, or the person that's in charge of that vessel, And so, but the vessel itself is small, and it's mostly filled with swords. And so there's a lot of ideas there, but it doesn't look to me like there's a lot of communication amongst the people that are in the vessel, It looks to me like there's one individual who's working really hard to maintain balance and forward motion in that vessel with their own passion, but the other individuals keep themselves shrouded, with lies, with them swords, right? And so the vessel's filled with swords, and it's very small, And so if the water is to come up because of that air right there, it's going to capsize that vessel, and that person that's trying to row it forward and make it on solid ground is not going to be able to stop that, And so even though that they think that they're on this vessel and they're rowing fiercely, right? Those 6 swords tell me the wind is coming up, and they might not make it back to solid ground, and the people that they're with ain't gonna help them, and they're dealing with 2 energies that are not as mature as they are, or not as elevated as you are, or as we are, and so they might not think, they don't want to hear it, That's why they're so shrouded. They got their backs turned to you. You're on your own, and you're a powerful being though, and that's what's cool. That's what's beautiful, But sometimes we can't save them all. We got to be aware, that them lies they're telling, that they could blow that wind up, and we're all going to go down that vessel together if we're with the wrong people, And so the reason that energy is coming out like that, is because we got the 7 of Swords in reverse, the King of Wands in reverse, and the King of Swords in the reverse, right? And so you don't know who to trust. This is really that energy right there. If those energies with the King of Swords in the reverse and the King of Wands in the reverse means is that somebody's passions right here. This king is just a egomaniac. They're just out to gain. They are passionate, but they're fiery passion. All they care about is their wand. And so they're this little energy over here that's trying to get burned up by that big sun I was talking about, right? And then this King of Swords energy right here. This King of Swords energy is a liar. And because in the upright position, this one right here would be the truth, right? And this one right here in the upright position would be very passionate, powerful, like the masculine energy of the this High Priestess is in the upright position, and that's a leader. That's somebody that that they're down for you, like fire. Like when they're with you, that you're their one, and they please you and they make you fucking happy and they fucking fight for you and they get out there, they get the fucking job done. Everybody knows that you're their queen, or that you're their king. in reverse, that individual is trying to fuck your sister. I mean, that's just what it is, man. And then this one right here is telling you to lie about it, right? They're lying about it. This one right here, the energy of this card, this individual, doesn't lie about jack shit. This energy right here is the thief that comes at night. That's the energy of that high priestess and empress and the king of wands that was coming out yesterday, man. And this individual right here ain't stealing jack shit from nobody. They're doing what God tells them to do, but just nobody understands the mission yet. And so they're working in a shadow way and in stealth in a way that that the other individuals involved here that are just dirtbags, perverts, liars, cheats, steals, you know, like no good. They're gonna use you. They're gonna lie to you. This individual is gonna do everything silently that makes you safe. You know, it's gonna do. They're gonna do everything that needs to be done, but nobody thought about, kind of, or nobody was willing to even take the risk. You know, because this is God's soldier right here. See, this is God's soldier getting what they need to arm themselves, because they're the only soldier in God's army. And they got to go about it stealth, you know, and that's that, man. And so there's the three energies that you're trying to choose, you know. Two of them energies are the ones that come with these swords, right? And that boat that you're in, that's getting ready to sink, is that tree you're hanging on. And so you got to choose the energy to cut, you know. You got to choose to make them cuts. It's two of the energies you got to cut. And that's just what it is. That's what we got to do. We ain't afraid to do that, because we, all of us carry Excalibur, you know, and so all of us have that potential to do so. We just got to realize that we are King Arthur, you know, and we have the ability to remove that sword from that stone, you know, and that's just what it is. And when we do, you know, we just got to remove one of these swords out of this heart right here that's stuck in God's heart right now. And because one of them swords is Excalibur, right? But you're not going to be able to pull those other two out until you pull out Excalibur out, you know? And so you got to choose wisely, right? But there's only one choice that you can make, really, because God won't let you pull them other two swords out until you've removed the sword that is the one that is of truth, you know? And then when you have that sword in your hands, that takes you in that two of wands position where you were before you came in that three of wands position. That puts you in that position. But then you have Excalibur, and Excalibur is your surgeon's tool, you know. And then it strategically will remove those other swords from your heart, the heart of God, and then it will heal it. And that's how you will then your healed heart will know how to cut that tree up, right? So that you got what you need, you know, and you got the people you need, you got everything you need in your life there to build them ships, man. That then we're gonna set you sail, and when you finish that journey, when you get where you're going, maybe you're gonna take a trip wherever, you know, or you come back to where you're supposed to be with God, then you have freedom. And that's a beautiful thing, you know, man. And that's what God's trying to give all of us, right? You know, God's trying to give all of us that, and we roll with that, you know, because we know what freedom looks like, you know, right? And that's what that is. And that's how you remove Excalibur. When you see that, when you look in the mirror and you say, "I'm motherfucking Arthur, man," and you go down to that fucking goddamn rock and you fucking say, "Poof," you start yanking. So a lot of us have hearts that are just like rocks nowadays, and that's truth, you know. There's only a few of us that got Excalibur there that helps us remove them, you know. And Excalibur will help us remove those swords from other people's hearts, too. Right, Spirit? What do you think, Spirit? Some upside down says foggy day, huh? You see my breath has a lot of cards, Spirit. You keep throwing me a lot of cards, Spirit. I'm using another deck, man. See, here's that page of wands in the reverse again. And that's because that page of wands is what's holding them back. That's holding us back, or holding anybody back. We don't roll like that. We don't want to be held back. We're done. We already became that knight in the upright position, right? But it's hard to always stay in the upright position when you got a group or organization or like people that you love, shit like that aren't in the light, that are telling you you're wrong, right? Telling you you're making a mess in the toilet, you need to clean it up, but you're like, well, fucking this mess right here is the mess that you introduced into my life with the bullshit you programmed me on, man. You guys are the ones with the gun in your hand that shot me. So what the fuck, You're telling me to sell my ass when I know I'm pure divine light of God and I need to keep myself clean. Now, fuck all y'all, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how we roll. And so this page wands could just represent, we're a little pissed off, maybe, but page wands is just, that's an individual that, also could be that little piece of shit over there just trying to convince you that you ain't got no sun in you. They're trying to block your sun again, right? Trying to get you out of that upright position where you're the knight going forward towards what you want. The Queen of Cups is facing this page of wands over here. So that page of wands could also just be somebody that's causing grief, maybe telling lies. They often do. That's what they do. But because they are do, and that's why they're coming out as that toilet token coin over there. So we don't know who that is, but it's a fire energy. Again, it's an immature fire energy. Sag, Leo, or Aries, right? And it could be any of the three, and it really could be, the knight in the upright position, that's a little bit more of an Aries energy. So that's like, an Aries energy in the masculine, near the moon, So that could be Aries in the moon, It could be, that's good. That could be some Aries energy that's trusted its intuition, right? But this page of wands in the reverse is somebody that's questioning that as well, right? And so that's the struggle that this individual is having, is that they're torn in their passions, So the masculine energy of this individual, which is coming out in that fire energy, is or the feminine energy, right? They're torn. They're conflicted. The passions of this individual are torn. Whatever the fuck, Either way, it don't matter. Like that, it's what it is. You figure it out. But there's a terror between doing the right thing, doing the wrong thing. Straight up, between the masculine and the feminine, right? They're not defending each other. And so that's why, like, again, the magician is fire energy, once again, Aries, And so that would tell me then, the masculine energy is using their intuition. The magician is also, it's intuitive, like the high priestess, but not quite so. Like the high priestess and the magician are two different people. The comparison to the high priestess would be the Hierophant more, but the high priestess is like, it's like the Hierophant, same as the Hierophant, but then with a lot more magic, but intuitively than the magician. The magician is a manifester, so they could deal with the physical really well. They know how to produce, like, money, empire, stuff like that, right? They could use the elements to their advantage, where the high priestess also uses that fifth element. And so the magician doesn't necessarily is not a master of that fifth element, but they're trying really hard right now how to use that fifth element with your intuition, right? So they could speak, so they could get out of that wounded warrior energy right here. They're trying to learn how to use their intuition. That's something that this high priestess is trying to teach them, and that's caused them sleepless nights, right? But they're not having so many sleepless nights anymore because they're making a decision to cut out the third party involvement, because there's been third party involvement here, But that third party involvement is going to get cut out, and that's going to cause this magician to clear their head a little bit, and they'll sleep a little bit better at night, right? And that passionate new beginning, or those passionate things that they want to fight for in that night energy, that they're going to be the right things that they want to fight for, and they're not going to be fighting for things that have them stuck in this page of wands in the reverse, not feeling like they're in the light, right? And so those are the choices that they need. Those are the things they've been stressed out about, but they know now who they've been collaborating with that wasn't the right collaboration, And so they understand that there's two energies that they got to cut, right? And so those two energies they got to let go, and so. Or it could be there's two energies that need to come together, and there's the one energy that needs to go, or whatever the hell it is, right? And that's a decision that's being made by God. That's what this tower is, you know. And so it's like you can see that the energy now, it's not in the hands of anybody really, because God's going to bring this all to the light. That's why the sun's in reverse now, but there's a tower coming, right? And so whatever it is, though, yeah, see, you've been fighting for it, but you're not going to have to fight for it no more. See? Because God's going to make them decisions. God's going to show you why you're Excalibur, where you have that ability to remove that sword from there and cut that shit out, that cancer out that's causing problems, right? Emotionally. Yeah, because God sees that there's been no justice in this situation, that we, the people, can't handle it on our own, you know? It's out of our hands. And so it's like, it hasn't been a just situation. There is no justice in this situation. The decisions need to be made inside within our own expansive space, in a clean space that's free from outside influence, you know, that's free from the third party situations, because this choice, it needs to be made by the spirit that needs to make it individually, you know. And that's why the Justice card in the reverse is coming out on top of this Three of Swords in the upright position, right? But it's also coming out with Wheel of Fortune in the upright position, with the Eight of Cups in the upright position, but then the Seven of Cups in the reverse. So this person sees that the Wheel of Fortune being in the upright position is telling them that the options that they think that they're entertaining, right, need to go. That they need to walk away in order to preserve the 8 cups that they have. They need to walk away from the 7 cups that tempt them. You know, and that's karma. That's telling them, like, this is a choice. Like, you know, if you choose to walk towards these 7 cups that are tempting you, that's going to come out in the reverse, which means that the manifestations that come out of those 7 cups are going to be karmic. You know, it's not going to bless you. They're not going to be upright. They're going to fall. They're going to dump out. They're going to dump out 7 of these cups that you already have. You know, and so God's telling you, you know, with this tower right here, they're saying that, hey, the temperance is in the reverse. I'm out of this game right now. I'm not into it because it's heartbreaking, and so we're going to bring some fortune, some karma out here. You know, this is Wheel of Fortune. It means karma. We're going to bring some karma out here. And so, but the karma is that Wheel of Fortune, it's the upright position. So that means that karma, it could come out good. You could come out on top of that wheel, right? We don't always do that, you know. It depends on the actions that we take leading us up to that position where God drops a tower on us that makes that karma come in. The Wheel of Fortune's a 10 card too, just like the 10 of Wands is over here, you know. The 8 of Cups is it's what you have to risk, you know. Those are the 8 cups that you have to lose, right? And so you got 2 cups tucked away somewhere that, or you had to go somewhere real quick and just grab them 2 cups that you needed, right? But God's telling you that of those 2 cups, you know, it's not part of these 7 cups. It's not. And God's always one of your cups. So there's 2 cups out there that ain't part of these 7 cups that you're thinking you're going to pursue. That you need to remember, you know, that you already have at home. You got 10 cups. Don't go nowhere. That's what that says, you know. That's what that says. You know, that's why that. Otherwise, that card right there would be in the upright position, and it would tell you that there's opportunity for you elsewhere. You should go get it. That there's like 8 cups at home waiting for you, but you're gonna go get 2 cups, and then there's still gonna be 5 on the table for you. But that's not the case here, you know. You have a lot to lose. Emperor in the reverse, see? This Queen of Cups right here is really in this Emperor's head, man. You know, like really giving this Emperor bad advice, you know, because what's interesting yesterday is that this Emperor came out in the upright with his Empress and with the Empress's High Priestess in the upright, right? And then the only thing with this Emperor is that his King of Pentacles energy, masculine energy, was in the reverse, right? But he was there. But today he's in the reverse, but the King of Pentacles is in the upright. So that's why the Empress is hiding. you know. And so they're not really talking today in that high emperor and empress energy that like they were so yesterday, you know, a little bit more maybe because they're hanging out or whatever, they're seeing each other kind of. But she's hiding today because the emperor's is getting influence here from this Queen of Cups in the reverse, right? And so there's some emotions that aren't working right. That's why the masculine energy is coming out, and this young energy as the Aries trying to push forward, right? But being influenced somehow or another by the page wands in the reverse, and that's causing them to lose their throat chakra. You know, that's why they're in that wounded warrior energy. That's why there's bullets coming out. This Queen of Cups energy right here with this King of Cups energy over here are both closely related to that energy right there in that secret organization or just that whatever it is. You know, it could be outdated thinking in a family. Usually, you know, a lot of times, you know, broken shit, secrets, or just whatever. You know, it's just distorted stuff emotionally. You know, and that's always usually associated with the familial structure and stuff where our emotions are developed. You know, and so there's something going on here. But it's organized attack against this individual that's in the dark. You know, it's like it's shadow work, one way or another. And shadow work's one of those things. If two people get together, they think dark of one or they think negatively with negative energy about one individual together, then that's magic. You know, that's shadow work. You know, and so that's all it takes. And when we're really powerful, sometimes we don't even have to have two of us. You know, we got to be careful with our thoughts because that's how we make things manifest. And that's what this emperor is being told. Is that their manifestations are not truly what they think they are. You know, they're being told not to believe themselves, and that's why they're in that energy by the moon, and not trusting their ancestors. You know, and that's why the ancestors are like, man, we don't know. We tried, but we don't know. You know, like it's not up to us right now. There's only so much we could do. You know, motherfuckers got to eventually listen to Most High and stop listening to people that are around them, or they're gonna get fucking caught up. And the spirits are like, we're not gonna get caught up in that mess. We don't want that tower to fall on us. You know. Nine of Swords, the Nine of Swords, and yeah, see that's that High Priestess and that King of Pentacles though. See the King of Pentacles is like that King of Pentacles energy now is the divine counterpart of this Emperor or the King of Pentacles of this High Priestess, right? And the Emperor, as the Emperor, is the divine counterpart of the Empress. You know, so the Empress is still in the upright, but she's hiding. The King of Pentacles is coming out in the upright, but the Emperor's hiding. You know, and so now it's like the Emperor's kind of stepped down off their throne a little bit, and they're feeling a little more like King of Pentacles. Whereas yesterday they were on their throne, but they were not trusting their King of Pentacles or whatever, you know? And so maybe the Emperor felt broke, but cocky about it yesterday. But today, the Emperor realized they're broke and they need to do something about it, right? So they're listening to this High Priestess, is what that tells me. And that's not a bad thing, because maybe the Emperor, being that way, really needed to grow up. And that's what the Queen of Wands, the King of Wands, the High Priestess, and the Empress were all telling the Emperor that yesterday, because they were noticing that the King of Pentacles energy, that's the masculine energy of that Emperor, was kind of not being legit about shit, you know? Like they needed to try a little harder. And so I think maybe now that King of Pentacles is still a little snub nosed towards that, pissed off at that Empress, you know? That's why she's hiding. But the King of Pentacles is knowing that the High Priestess energy of the Empress, which is very loving, you know, because the High Priestess energy is a lot less of that King of Swords energy than the Empress is. And so the King of Pentacles is hearing that feminine energy of the High Priestess and thinking about it. But they're thinking about it in a way. See, this Knight right here of Swords now is like the King of Pentacles is sitting there going, well, wait a minute, I know the fucking truth, you know? And so they're like, that High Priestess is kind of making sense a little bit, and they're like a little charged up now, you know, because the energy yesterday was the Queen of Swords for that the High Priestess and the Empress was trying to get that Page of Swords to come out of the reverse because the Page of Swords is working against them, you know. But now the Page of Swords is turned upright and has gone into this Knight of Swords in the forward motion, and they are coming after this Queen of Cups energy that's got this Emperor in the reverse, you know. And so that's interesting. We'll see how that goes, right? And what I know is that as the High Priestess, we don't really, it doesn't. This is an external struggle that this King of Pentacles has to overcome, so they get back in that Emperor seat. But in the upright position, then the Empress is gonna want to come back out and play, you know. And she's got the sweet stuff, man. I mean, that's like the sweet stuff, right? And this King of Pentacles needs to make this decision. They know that, and they need to make the right decision, because if they don't, they got gonna lose their 10 of Pentacles. And so they're not sure over here with these energies, because these energies are look, see, they got to choose between these three energies, right? They got one energy that they don't know what the fuck is up with them, but they know that that energy is doing shit that nobody really understands the way they move, and that everybody thinks they're kind of thief, no good piece of shit, and they're on their own, right? And but that this King of Pentacles knows a lot of secrets to this individual, because they know this individual is just moving in a way that nobody else understands, and but yet what they're doing is the right path, even though it may not look that way. They might look like a convict, but they're sane. And so, and then this individual here, these two, this one's smooth talking. Looks good on paper, right? But it's a lying bastard. Don't trust him. And then this energy right here, this one, oh, sexy. They say they want you. Oh, they say everything's smooth talking too, right? Then they want you. They're gonna do this, but they're gonna take you everywhere else, travel the world. They're hot-headed, right? Got the fire, right? But they're lying, dude. Can't trust it, you know. And so that's a decision that's got to be made here, you know, because that's a tricky one, man. But one of these energies has your 10 of Pentacles for you in the upright, you know. But two of these energies got you Pentacles in the reverse. And so that's why it's coming out in the reverse, because it's a tricky decision, you know, and the way things are looking right now, you might most likely make the wrong decision. You're going to get deceived by one of these energies. And if you want to remove yourself from that tree, well, there's enough wood in that tree there to make yourself in boats. That'll sell you to where you need to be, man. And you can celebrate with them 10 Pentacles. But you got to know what you're working with. You got to know yourself, you know. Those all could be energies that you got inside of you that you need to work with, that you need to cut some stuff out, you know. And that's most likely what it is. It's usually what it is. Hell, that's always what it is. Alright, Spirit. Why you always gotta talk so much, Spirit? So, Spirit, tell me what this magician is trying to manifest. Like, magician, you know, it's magician. Magicians are funny. They pull rabbits out of their hats and cause a lot of grief with that shit. Sometimes, Spirit. See, the magician's more smoke and mirrors than the high priestess. The high priestess is not smoke and mirrors, you know. And so, this Nine of Cups energy right here is the High Priestess's energy. Because the High Priestess, she's the one she's not trying to sign no contracts that make no sense with nobody, you know. She understands that the contracts that are being offered right now, that these individuals right here are being offered, that they're offering or whatever, you know. Because you see that this High Priestess, you know, she knows that she's not trying to make a deal with the devil, you know. She understands that, like, that there's a lot at stake for the other people or whatever, you know. But she's not feeling that burden, because, like, she's protected her heart, you know. Like, she has abundance in her heart, and she knows that. And so right now, currently, the other person, the other individual, the energy, the King of Pentacles energy, is in a position where they're trying to decide whether or not to walk away from all 8 cups that they have. So they could go possibly find fulfillment somewhere else, right? They can get their 10 cups elsewhere. But this High Priestess energy, she knows damn good well that she's got 9 cups right here. She had 10, but one of them is already just like, ooh, hey, somebody drank that cup, right? Or like whatever that cup's like, so where'd my cup go kind of attitude. And so she's like, but I still got 9 cups. So she ain't walking nowhere, you know. She's standing there and protecting herself. That's that high priestess energy and that empress. That's why she's hiding. See, right now she's like, nah, man. Like, I'm not showing my face to nobody because I did that and I lost the cup, you know. And like, I don't know that I like that. I want the cup back that I had, you know. And so I'm protecting the cups I have so I don't lose no more. And don't fuck with me. I'm not signing no deals with any karmic shit right now. She says no karmic contracts, and she says to this King of Pentacles, she says, hey, I advise that you don't sign karmic contracts because all you gotta do is bring one cup back with you, you know, that's been offered, and then we got 10 cups again here, you know, and that's a lot to work with, right? Quit juggling our coin. And that's what she's saying, you know, and that's why that Empress. She's kind of like, nah, man, because that emperor was trying to act like he was yoked yesterday to her, but he wasn't, you know, and that's why that King of Pentacles was in the reverse, you know. You can't be a King of Pentacles in the reverse at the same time as you're trying to be an emperor and you're going to stand up to your empress when she's coming out as the King of Wands and the High Priestess, man. I mean, it's just what it is, you know. That's good. Spirit says, yep. That's exactly what it is. Because that energy with that High Priestess, that Empress at that moment is in a divine union with God, you know. But God's also saying that this Emperor and the Empress are also a divine union. And so they just got to sort these energies out, man. That's what God's saying, you know. And look at the corpuscle, look at the abundance on that card. Like grapes, all kinds of good shit, you know. And that's a celebration card, you know. That's a good thing, you know. That's that Emperor right now is realizing that they need to slow it down a little bit and maybe pace themselves and realize that it's not that bad to be King of Pentacles energy. It doesn't make them little to be King of Pentacles energy that's in the upright around this Empress and this High Priestess energy, because yeah, man, with that King of Wands, that bitch is scary, you know, she's a bad bitch. But to be a King of Pentacles in the upright position instead of trying to pretend like you're the Emperor is better than being in the eyes of this Empress, this Page of Wands energy, or even this Knight of Wands, even though that Knight of Wands is in the upright, you know. It's like you got to manage that Aries energy in you, is what that says. Why is this Nine of Swords here, Spirit? Spirit, why is Nine of Swords here? Spirit says that one. Spirit says, yeah. Spirit, the ancestors say that we're the star, man. That's just what they say. That was a side note. They said you kind of pulled that card on yourself and with some fuck shittery, but not really. You know, they say they don't want to talk for it on themselves. They say everybody fuck everybody, you know. But you the star, whoever you are. Spirit says fuck everybody today, but you're the star. That's what they say, and so that's cool. Today's your day, man. That's good, yeah. Because Spirit says this Knight of Swords energy that this High Priestess is activated is because she's activating it because she's in that Knight of Pentacles energy, and so she's like saying, hey, you know, look, there's something to fight for here, you know, like she's like, here, man, realize that you're Arthur, you know, go get that shit. It's like King David. She's like, you're like King David, man. King David, everybody thought King David was a chump, man. You know, like they say it's ugly. They said he wasn't worth nothing, man. They came to try to pick him, that guy Saul or whatever, you know. And they came and look at the other kids there that King David's dad had, and looked at all them kids, you know, and said, no, I wasn't Saul. It was like some other guy, some guy God sent, you know, and like King David's dad was like saying to other brothers and shit, you know, said, hey, it's like, hi, David out there in the barn, you know? It's like milk and sheep, you know? It's like, hi, David out in the barn. We don't want King to see them, you know? And, but God was all coming over there to choose King David, you know? Because God knew that King David was the one, like that he's the chosen one, man. And even though that nobody else could see that, David did was like, whatever, man. David's the runt, right? And so they hit him in the barn, and then they got the individual that God sent or whatever, They said, no, these individuals, none of these guys here are gonna work, They're like not who we were looking for, And so they said, there's one more person here, right? There's one more boy here that you got, We want to meet him. And the dad and everybody's like, nah, he's a piece of shit, like, we hired him out in the barn, right? And so they went and looked at David and said, nah, man, that's one. He's the chosen one, man. And so that's you. You're the chosen one, right? But everybody's going to say that you're too stupid to know how to make your own decisions, and all that shit. They're not even going to try to let you make your own decisions for you. They're going to hide you out in the barn and just be like, they're dumb, man. Like, they don't know jack shit. But God does know you, God knows you all the way through and through, God knows you like just as well as that he knew King David, And King David tried to hide from God, right? And in the end, God showed him, no, man, look, I always knew you, I always watched you play along with this fuck shittery and all that stuff. And like, yeah, you're still my chosen, but we're going to treat you equal here, And so where we're at in life right now, that's where you're at right now in life, is that you're chosen, and so God knows you, and you know that, and David knew that, And so when David made the choices that he made that cost him so dearly, that was because he questioned that faith, He let other influences that were around him, like Spirit Jezebel and shit, tempt him in a way that he didn't protect himself, keep himself safe, And that's the journey that we're all on as kings and queens and emperors and empresses of God Most High, man. And so remember, you're chosen. You're chosen, God sees you very, very much, and like, even though you might feel like a shadow or whatever, that might make you make in your shadow decisions. That's just because the world's trying to tempt you and try to tell you you ain't no good. The same way they did a lot of times with David, And then what we gotta overcome is that shit. We gotta be able to understand how to protect ourselves, even though we're powerful like David was, right? So David was really powerful and he protected himself, right? But then Jesus was very powerful because he was willing to accept a path that was far more graceful and free from the same conquering spirit that was in David, right? That Leviathan spirit. And so, but what happened with Jesus is that he was too meek as the lamb, and so that also got him in trouble, And so what we're trying to learn is how to transit these things properly, so that we are all fierce like a lion, but tender like the lamb inside, and we could avoid the conflicts that we have today, And that's the secret, man. That's what God's trying to tell us, And so I'm already well into this one. We don't need to pull any more cards on it. This is my Garricon, I showed off. Like, I love my Garricon. These things are very rare, like very, very rare, and like especially here, they're more common up British Columbia and Alaska and stuff, but they're like going extinct, because they only grow on old growth trees. But they're a sacred mushroom, and they're another mushroom that's of longevity and healing, It's like the reishi here and the turkey tail too, They're very good. God heals, God gives us a lot of grace, and so we thank you, God, for this read. It's a beautiful read, and it brought a lot of clarity. I can already feel it, into the collective for the good of the collective, for the good of the spiritual collective. I mean, Spirit's obviously feeling, maybe that's what Spirit's saying over here. God tells me Spirit's saying, fuck you, no way. Ancestors are saying that they're stars, and I agree with them. We should listen to them more. Try to, and know who we're listening to. It's like these guys, these ancient individuals, If we self-destruct here on this one, it's the spirits in them that travel through their mycelium and everything that's going to go back out into that void, into that space within us, will implode, man. And that's when we become spores again, reseed the universe, right? We're all very beautiful inside. And we live in a world that wants to teach us to be ugly as a defense mechanism, And there's nothing that we need to defend ourselves from. God protects all, and we're the glory of God. I appreciate you, guys, everybody, man. And I'm going to keep putting it out there, and keep putting it out there, and keep putting it out there. And fuck the algorithm, fuck the whole everything that's going crazy right now. We need to know that we're already dynamically connected, and through channels and through networks and through frequencies that they can't alter, they can't fuck with, man. That's God. You're God, we're God. You know, peace is God, and God is everything. You know, it's fuck the system. Yeah, fuck their game, man. We're winning. I love y'all.